everyone. Brad here with Mild Mannered EDC. I hope you're all really doing well out there. I'm excited for this video. This is one I've been wanting to do for a while. In fact, I made this purchase last fall, and been trying to get around to this since then. But really what I want to try to do today, or at least in this video, is walk you through we're going to do three things, I think. First, we'll talk a little bit about the reasoning and thinking that I did around making a first knife purchase for my daughter. In this case, it's my youngest daughter. For those of you who've been watching the channel for a while, you know I have a couple daughters, and my youngest is going to be 7 this year. But yeah, she was ready, I think, last year, and that's ultimately why we made this decision. But so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about sort of the criteria I had and the process I went through before landing on the specific knife, and then we'll talk about this specific knife here, and then we'll do a little something fun at the end. Little spoiler alert, yeah, a little bit of a giveaway at the end there. So hang in there towards the end, and we'll do a little bit of a giveaway, and hopefully that'll be pretty fun. So let's go and talk a little bit about the criteria and sort of what it means to sort of get your kid that first knife, right? And, you know, there's a lot of ways you could go, and there's a lot of options out there. Well, I don't know that that's true, actually. There aren't that many options out there. There are a few. And, you know, I'm not going to walk you through all of the other options and why I didn't choose them. I'm going to talk about the sort of criteria that I had and why it led me to this particular knife and why I ultimately made that purchase. But there's obviously, if you're a parent or grandparent or aunt or uncle, I mean, you can walk through your own set of criteria. And ultimately, this is not me saying this is the best knife for every child. I can't tell you that. Nobody can tell you that. You know your kid more than best. You know what they're ready for or not ready for, what they can handle, what they can't handle. And so I'm just giving you an insight into sort of my process, why I think this is a good option to at least consider, and how it has worked out so far for us and for my child. So that's kind of the route that we're going today here with this. So when I was looking at getting this first knife, I sort of landed on three things that I wanted to focus on. One, I wanted the knife to be well made. And what I mean by that is I wanted it to be, well, it's fairly clear, actually. I wanted it to be put together well. And the reason for that was I didn't want something that, yes, it's kid-oriented, but it's just built like crap, and it's just going to fall apart in their hand, and maybe potentially hurt them just from being, not put together very well, instead of worrying about, them hurting themselves because it's an actual knife. So, something well-made from a reputable manufacturer was important to me, first and foremost. Secondly, I wanted something locking, and that is why I didn't ultimately go this route. Now, the Swiss Army Victorinox route. And don't get me wrong, they make some great knives, and I'm a big Victorinox fan. They do even make some locking versions, and in fact, they have a kids, like a Victorinox Junior, I think they call it. I didn't go that route because I didn't particularly like it all that much for a couple of reasons, so I know they're out there, but anyways, locking was very important, and the vast majority of Victorinox obviously are not locking, so that's part of the reason I didn't go that route, but I did want something locking as one of the criteria. And then finally, I wanted something that was easily replaceable and not super expensive, and that's kind of for obvious reasons, right? They're kids. Kids are going to do what kids are going to do, and, I just didn't want to have to worry about getting them something, they're going to enjoy it, and then they lose it or break it or misplace it or whatever. And in fact, my youngest daughter, we call her the dropping queen because, we can go to Target, be leaving Target, before we get to the car, whatever toy we have purchased for her, she'll manage to lose some piece of it in that like 2-minute time frame. So, I mean, they're kids. I'm an adult and I lose and break stuff pretty regularly. So, I didn't want them to have to worry about that. And I didn't want to have to worry about it in terms of buying something expensive or just something that was hard to replace or whatever. But more importantly, I just didn't want them to have any anxiety about that, right? I mean, I wanted this to be a fun experience and not one that they need to be worried about, oh, daddy's going to be really mad because I lost this or dropped it or broke it or whatever it might be. And so having something easily replaceable, affordable and easy replaceable was important to me. So those were the three categories: well-made, locking, and easily replaceable. And ultimately, what I landed on was the Opinel number 7 Outdoor Junior. That's the title for this particular knife. And, you know, for those of us who are in the knife community, Opinel is a very, very well-known name, right? They make a lot of knives. In fact, this Opinel number 7, you can see there on the collar that it's a number 7. At least I think you can. There's a regular Opinel number 7, right? And, you know, this, in fact, is one of my favorite little kitchen paring knives. It's a great little knife. But you can already see some of the differences between the regular version and the kid version. But, yeah, I mean, so Opinel is a brand that I like, I trust. I know that they put their knives together well. You know, that first category around well-made, you know, they've been doing this for decades and decades and decades. And so, you know, I had a lot of confidence that they knew what they were doing with that. In addition, they were using the good materials, right? I mean, you've got a 12C27 Stanvik blade steel on this particular knife. So it's not just some, you know, butter knife steel that they threw on here. It's a legitimate blade steel. You've got a quality, you know, I think it's kind of FRN, but I think they called it fiberglass reinforced polyamide, so FRP. But basically a very hard plastic that, you know, is nigh indestructible, right? I mean, there's just is not much a kid could do that, I don't think, besides smashing it between rocks or something like that. And it's just gonna maintain itself. Additionally, it's got this little bit of a color streak here, and that is actually a rubber, so it's a nice little grippy area there. So, you know, again, the materials, well made, well put together, solid construction, all of those things met the first criteria that I had. So that's great. Secondly, it's locking, right? Opinels are locking knives. And in fact, their lock mechanism is just this little collar lock here up at the top, and you can just turn it. There you go. Turn it, it's locked. Turn it, it's unlocked. So it's very intuitive, easy to use for kids, you know, little hands, etc. So that's really great. In addition to it being locking, it's locking so that it has the ability to be locked when it's shut. So when it's in their pocket, it's locked. It's not coming open. You know, you're not getting it out. But when they're ready to use it, they just unlock it, pull the little nail lick, pull it out, lock it again, and it's done. So, you know, it's got a very easy to use, easy to understand, kid-friendly in a lot of ways, locking mechanism, but ultimately achieves what I wanted, which was something that locked. So there you go. Number 2 on the list, locking, check. All right. Third, as I mentioned, easily replaceable. So Opinel, right, a major manufacturer of knives out of France, as I mentioned, but readily available here in the United States and all over the world. So no problem in trying to track another one of these down. And price-wise, $25. These are $25. So, you know, this is just not something I'm going to lose a lot of sleep over if it gets broken or lost or whatever, or left behind somewhere or something like that. You know, it's going to be replaceable. It's not the end of any worlds if this thing meets, you know, some sort of untimely end. And not only is that important because, like I said, you know, it's going to happen eventually in some form or another, most likely, right? Or something's going to happen to it. And I just didn't want to worry about it, and I didn't want them to worry about it. So there you go. So this definitely meets the 3 criteria I have. It's well made, it's locking, and it's easily replaceable. And for $25, yeah, no big deal. This also, though, has some other interesting little features on it that I think make it even more compelling, sort of sweeten the pot, if you will. And the first of those is, as you've noticed here, it's got this blunted, rounded off tip. And not only is it sort of rounded off, the grind sort of stops about right here. So it's not really very sharp at all beyond that point. In fact, I could push my thumb in there very hard. You can see it leaves a mark, but it doesn't cut. In addition, you know, they're not going to be accidentally poking themselves or others or other things that you have around that you don't want them poking or puncturing or whatever. So just a nice little added safety feature on there. to make just for one less thing to worry about. In addition, you've got this nice little lanyard loop here down at the end. So they can hook this to their bike or to their backpack or a canoe or whatever. And it's cool, or just to have something on it to look cool. So you've got that. The last thing I want to mention, second to last thing I want to mention is it's got a whistle. And that's what this is. And you blow on it here. And it's what's called a P-less whistle. So it doesn't have that little ball in there sort of rattling around or anything like that. But that's a great little safety feature. One, it's fun. Kids like whistles, right? And it's loud. This thing is loud. In fact, I think I saw online this has it's like 100 decibel or something like that. It can be. But yeah, so not only is it kind of fun and a neat little addition, it's a safety feature, right? I mean, if they're somewhere where they're all of a sudden turned around in the campground and they don't know where they are, or wherever you are down by the river or however it might be, they can blow on this and draw attention to themselves. And so, there's just a little peace of mind that comes with that as well. So I think that's pretty cool. And then the last thing I will mention is that this comes in multiple colorways. This particular one, as I noted, is obviously purple and pink for my sweet little girl. But, I have purple knives too. So it's not just a gender thing, but I know she likes these colors. So I went with that. But also, I think there was a blue, as I think I gave you a little teaser. There is an orange and really dark green one, not quite orange and black, but close enough. And I want to say there was one other color, maybe red or something like that. But ultimately, you can kind of customize that to what you think the child might like or have interest in. So that's ultimately what we've landed on here, is a very cool first option for a child, and something that will meet their needs and be something that they like a lot, and that you can have a lot of confidence in that it's going to be well made. It's going to keep them, it's going to be safe for them to use. And, as you're talking to them about safety and responsibility and all those other things, this is it's a great opportunity to sort of bond with your child, your grandchild, or your niece or nephew or whatever it might be, and just enjoy this hobby together and being outdoors and doing any of the other things you do with a knife. So the Opinel number 7 Outdoor Junior, highly recommended here by me, and I hope it's something that you find interesting, and it could be something that you may want to pick up for that important child in your life. So last but not least, and we've talked about this, little opportunity for a giveaway here. The box is a little beat up because it came that way beat up from Opinel. I don't know why, but it did. But I have taken the knife out. I have looked at it. There are a couple little scratches on the blade, and no big deal. But it's perfectly new and in good working order, all that kind of stuff. But I do want to give this away. So if this is if you've got a kid in your life and you're thinking about this as a gift, or as, a first knife that might be a good opportunity for them, throw me a comment down in the comment section, something positive, something fun, tell me a little story, whatever. Maybe just sign off by saying I'm in, and then I know that you're interested in this. I do want this to go to a child, though, please. I'd prefer, we'll use the honor system. I trust you all. You're great people. But just keep that in mind. So hopefully somebody can enjoy this and have some fun with it and make a kid happy with that. So there you go. I hope you've really enjoyed this review. I hope it's something this has been helpful, that it's helped to give you a little sense of sort of where my thinking was, and that maybe it can be helpful to you all as you're out there taking that step with your child as well. Most importantly, please stay safe out there. Hug those little ones. Keep them close. Be mild-mannered to one another, and all the best.